Morning all. It is 7:15 AM and this will be the very first time I have ridden my new Triumph Tiger 900 GT Pro with the camera mounted. So this is the first. It's actually only the third ride I've had on the bike since I purchased it. First one was from the dealership to home, which was about 35 kilometres. The second ride was a ride around the Gold Coast hinterland, and today will be the third ride in 2 weeks. People are probably asking why I've only done so few rides. Well, the answer is pretty simple: because we've had flooding, rain, and flooding here on the Gold Coast. Anyway, glorious day. It's 23.5 degrees Celsius right now, 7:15 in the morning. And this bike is so much better than the 800, my previous bike. I had the 2016 Triumph Tiger 800 XRX, and that was a good bike. But this one surpasses it in every way. It's lighter. You can definitely feel the weight has been transferred down low. It's lighter overall regardless. I think the dry weight is lighter than the XRX was, only by a couple of kilos, but you can notice it, especially now that the weight's all down low. You can notice the extra power. I think it's around about the same as the XRX was in horsepower. This is 94. I think the XRX was 94, maybe even 95. But they've got more torque, so you notice it down low, which is where you want it anyway. And the comfort level, way better than the XRX. The suspension's another level again up than the XRX. I like it that you can adjust the damping. That makes a huge difference, especially if you want to put it on comfort, which I like. I prefer to have that rather than the harder, firmer suspension that you might have for sport riding, which I don't do anyway. So I'm more than happy with the suspension. The brakes, the Brembo brakes, are again another level up on the XRX. So all in all, even though it's only my third ride, I can notice improvements over the previous bike, the previous model. A few things I don't like. I don't like the Triumph connectivity, the communications, the whole package. Well, that's probably being unfair. The one thing that I cannot get to work, and it seems to be a common problem, is the volume adjustment. One of the things that attracted me to this bike is volume adjustment, because I like to ride listening to the radio. I either like to listen to music on Spotify or listen to the radio, listen to the news. And I can't adjust, it's from my phone to my earpieces, my headset, and I can't adjust the volume. I can on my earpieces on the side of the helmet up and down, but with the gloves on, quite often I miss. I just get it wrong. And sometimes I've even accidentally just switched it off because I've hit the wrong button because of the gloves, because you just don't have that feel. So one of the things that attracted me about this bike was the volume adjustment, and I cannot get it to work. I've been on several different websites. I've read the manual back to front several times. I've tried everything on the website. and it just seems to be a common problem that it doesn't work. So Mr. Triumph, if you're listening, sort it out. You pay good money for a motorcycle like this, and it seems to be a big problem that people have. But other than the volume adjustment, I haven't tried the GoPro yet to see if it connects and works. Everything else I can get to work. So being probably a little bit harsh to say that I'm totally unhappy with the connectivity, but the thing that I wanted most, the volume adjustment, doesn't work. The GPS I can get to work, sat nav, I can get it to work, and it seems to work quite well. I've had music on and the sat nav at the same time, and that seems to work quite well when the instructions have to be given by the GPS. It overrides the music, and then when the instructions are complete, the music comes back, so that works well. The sat nav itself, will I use it? Probably not. I'll probably do what I did on the previous model, and that is mount my telephone at the front here and use a free offline navigational system, a navigational app which I've used successfully throughout Europe 2 years ago. I've used it in a car, hire car, in the USA and the UK, and it's free, and it comes through your telephone, talks to you, so it does a good job. So I'll probably just stick to it and not worry about the GPS. The thing that annoys me about the TFT screen, navigating around it, you get used to it, not hard, figure that out pretty quickly. It's got that little toggle button down there, and it hasn't got the round rotating one that BMW have, people rave about. I've never used a BMW one, so I don't know, but this little toggle button, this one here, seems to work fine. You can navigate throughout. I've tried the 4 various displays, and the one I've got now I think is number 2 maybe, or 3. I found when I used the sat nav, number 4 is the best, because it has the biggest display of the turn indicators, left, right, roundabouts, U-turns, etc. for the GPS. So I found number 4 is the best. But otherwise I prefer the 2 or 3. But the thing I don't like about it is, if you're playing around with it in your garage or somewhere where it's dull, a lot of shade, you get that bright illumination, colourful illumination. But as soon as you go out into the broad daylight, it flicks to this dull, almost black and white, greyish screen. And I've watched a number of YouTube videos, and it looks like it happens to everybody. And reading the manual, I sort of gather that it's intentional by Triumph, because they don't want a bright, glary screen looking at you when you're riding a bike. But I would have preferred it if they gave you the option. They said, yeah, look, we'll put it on, say, automatic, and it'll adjust to the light conditions, the ambient, not the ambient temperature, the light as you find it, and it'll adjust accordingly. Or give you the option of leaving it on the bright screen full time if you want, but you don't get that choice, and that's annoying. You look at the BMW ones, I've only seen it on YouTube, but you look at the BMW ones and you have that bright TFT screen 24/7 if you want to ride a bike 24/7. And I don't get why Triumph have not given you that choice. The other thing I found difficult until I got the answer on one of the Triumph forums was the odometer. How many kilometres you've done. I couldn't find it. And then someone told me that you can find it in one of the cases, the service case, which I did, and you can also find it when you turn the bike on, but it only displays for at the very top of the screen, right where the fuel petrol indicator is, the fuel indicator is. It'll display in that little box there, that little display box, but only for about 5 or 10 seconds. But that's fine, that's all you need to know. I like to know, just keep an eye on it. And the other thing that happened from my bike, and I don't know whether it's the dealer when I picked it up did it intentionally, but the service indicator light down here, the little spanner and that, it's full on permanently because they've set it for the first service. So I guess that's intentional. But it just annoys me that I look down. I know it's got to have its first service. I know it's 1,000 kilometres. So why the bloody hell you've got that there? But I mean, that's only a minor point and not really worth worrying about. Alright, so we have a learner driver right up in front. Just be careful, there's a motorbike rider down there. Nothing left, nothing right, nothing right, nothing left. Lady out for a morning walk. Good morning, lady. The sound of this bike entirely different compared to the previous model. This doesn't have that Triumph whistle, and I used to like the sound of the 800. This is more got of a deep, throaty roar. I quite like the sound of the standard exhaust. I haven't ridden the bike at night. I really don't plan to. I don't like riding at night anymore. I found the older I get, my depth perception is not as good as it used to be at night. Okay, during the day. So it's really important to make sure you can see properly at night. So I will ride at night if I have to, but if I don't, I won't. I don't choose to. I know it's got the spotlights, comes standard with it, and I've read on different forums that some people reckon they're rubbish, but I don't know. I'll wait till I test them out one night and make my own mind up. I really had no intention of trading in the XRX. I had done 52,000 kilometres on it. I bought it new in 2016. I've done a lot of travel on it. Most of those kilometres were touring kilometres. I was more than happy with the XRX. So I had no intention of buying another one. And I was at my local dealers about 4 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. Anyway, I got into a conversation and I said, have you sold many Tiger 900s of all types and 850s? And he said, no. He said, not that we couldn't. He said, we just can't get them. He said, because of COVID and the hold up in the supply chain, which transfers to the number of bikes that get manufactured and available for sale. He said, no. He said, we just can't get them. He said, oh, if you put a deposit down there, you might be lucky to get it next February or March. So, but he said generally anywhere between 3 and 6 months. He said, but you have to put a deposit down. And he said the reason, there you go, see the screen's changed. It's gone into that all colour screen. Because it's dark here. Darker because of the shade. Anyway, I had no intention of buying a bike, so I didn't worry about it. But then I was with a mate and we went up to Brisbane at Springwood at Moss Street, where there's a whole heap of motorcycle dealers. and we were just killing time, tyre kicking. And we went into a Saturday morning. We went into about just before midday, and I think they shut up at 1 p.m. So I was probably there midday, maybe a little bit after. And I walked in, and there was a whole bunch of Triumphs, and they all had sold, all different models. No Tigers, except this one. And I saw it sitting there, and I walked over, and I said, the dealer was sitting down, I just said, oh, don't worry, mate. I walked in the door just tyre kicking, so he left me alone. And I went over to it and didn't have a sold sign on it. And I said to the salesman, I said, what's the story with this? I said, why hasn't it got a sold sale? A sold sign? He said, oh, that only arrived yesterday. He said, we uncrated it. And he said, even the boss didn't know why we got one, because we didn't order it. We didn't have anything on order. And he said, so we assembled it, did what we had to do, put it on the floor. And he said, we haven't even had a chance to put it on our website as bike for sale. He said, we've had a couple of people come in this morning and look at it, and no one's made a definite offer, so there it is, it's for sale. So knowing how hard it is to get, and knowing that I would want one, even though I hadn't planned to get one, first thing I did was I said, wait, don't sell it. And I sat down opposite him, pulled out the mobile phone, rang my wife up and said, I'm at the Triumph dealership up in Springwood. I'm looking at a GT Pro, Triumph 900 GT Pro, unsold. What do you think? And I'm very interested. And she said, buy it, don't bother me. I've got to go off and get my hair done now. Just hung up on me. So that's it. I said to the salesman, where's the paperwork? Where do I sign? And I picked it up a week later. So that was how I came to get it. And I have to say that I am very happy with it, except for that one thing that I mentioned way back when, and that is the volume adjustment. It just will not work. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. I think Triumph are probably aware of it because there's so many people complained about it, so maybe it's just a software update that'll come. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's not something that I can't live with. I can live with not having it because I haven't had it before. But anyway, so we'll let that go. Go and park in the car park of the servo. A few bikes out the front. That car, that four-wheel drive, should realise that doesn't belong there. Sunday it's motorcycle parking day, so I don't know where he gets off. Right. Yes, lady, don't walk out in front of me. There we go. My favourite spot right here, so I'll park here. There's a bloke over here who's got a little terrier, 12 months old. Little terrier's called Charlie. There's Charlie over there walking, taking his master for a walk. Got a real personality, has Charlie. He recognises the familiar faces and voices of people here. Jumps up and carries on when he sees you. Nice little dog. He's a local personality, is Charlie. Which is pretty good for a 1-year-old dog. He started coming up here when he was about 8 weeks old. Yeah, it's the 12th of December today, Sunday. I might sit down the front here. I don't want to take up a desk all by myself.